So usually I was. Do the same thing. You're so. Yeah, right.
Okay,
Good.
we're recording, so you can go ahead. We have nothing to show, no documents to show.
Hold the work session of the North Plains City Council to order at 6:04. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I'll go to flag.
Oh.
Pause.
One moment for technical difficulties. I feel like there should be a. Oh, like this. Old school.
I'm bouncing the balls.
There it is.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
Okay.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So, Eric, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Your meeting.
Sure. All right, well, thank you for having this work session with us. We're obviously the Economic Development Commission. We put together kind of a Q1 and Q2 of 2025 date. Going back to last year, we started a new recurring update that we wanted to give City Council on a quarterly basis of some of the things that the EDC has been working on, both from goals for upcoming quarters, as well as completing different tasks and goals from the past quarters throughout the end of 2024. And then with the transition, new council members, we somewhat put on pause our updates with the intent of having this work session here to go through some of the items that we have completed up until this point, both Q1 and Q2. And then things we want to focus on going forward, making sure that aligns with City Council's vision and goals for the EDC as well. And seeing if there's any feedback on things we can do, different initiatives we can focus on, things of that nature. I think just about everyone on City Council has attended an EDC meeting in an ex officio capacity. So I think everyone has been introduced, but I would like to just do very quick introductions for the EDC quickly, so everyone can get a bit more familiar. My name is Eric Lawson. I'm the chair of the EDC. I've been on the Economic Development Commission, I believe since 2019 or so. And most recently, myself and Chris to my left, who I'll hand it to, were put in the chair and vice chair positions at the beginning of 2025, and we'll go into that too.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Barron, Vice Chair of Economic Development Commission. I've been serving on the commission, I believe, since 21. Moved to the city in 2020, late December, and then about a year later was on the ECDEV Commission. Also, you guys probably remember, also serve in Budget Committee and just get too busy with other things as well. So we'll just keep going this direction. Laura, do you want us to skip over your discussion?
Yes.
I think Lori is more important.
No, obviously.
So I'm Aaron Dumbrow. I've been on council since January, and I am apparently filling in for a lot of stuff right now, but hopefully I don't mess it up too bad. And yeah, economic development and urban rural agency are kind of my areas of interest on the side. So I'm really hopeful that we can find ways to support through policy what you guys work. That's my.
Hi, I'm James Fage. I've been on planning commission and city council for a little bit of time. This is my second term. As far as economic development goes, that's kind of the engine that drives the workplace. So obviously something make it easier as it happen. So a lot of this stuff comes from the economic machine. So thanks, guys, for leading this.
My name is Mike McCarty. I've been on the Economic Development Commission for about 3 years. I've lived in North Plains for about 8. Just as a volunteer to help make our city better.
My name is David Aman. I moved into the city about 2 years ago and joined the EDC about 1.5 years ago.
I'm Jackie Hunt. I have been on the commission since I think its inception. And enjoy the development over time. Appreciate the work that the group has done. Native of North Plains and really need to support our wise development.
I'm Katie Redding and I'm city councilor since January, all new to me.
I'm Michelle McCall-Wallace and I was appointed to council in December of last year. And I want to say that, like mine, the council has asked for work sessions with each of the boards and commissions so that we can have annual work sessions and then quarterly reports on a regular basis. And I look forward to being more connected through those with everyone.
Andy Hagedorn, I was newly appointed in January, lived here since I think 2009. Looking forward to learning how we on council, how we can equip the EDCO tools to help catalyze business growth in the city.
Hello, my name is Trista Papin, city council. Have lived in North Plains since 2014 and joined city council in 2019. And just want to say thank you to each of you because I know there's a lot of behind the scenes work that we don't always have visibility to, but you guys are all actively trying to make the city better. So thank you for your dedication.
Right, I'm Lisa Fry and I've been here since inception as well with Jack, including through pandemic, which has been weird for the EDC. That was a rough time. And I'm also on the budget committee and I've asked all of you at some point for my other role in getting volunteers for our city activities on the North Plains Events Association.
So if Lisa says, hey, did you get my text?
Yep.
It's guilt trip.
Yeah.
She's not asking if you actually got her text.
Asking to volunteer.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I think we can quickly run through if you're fine with it, Counselor. We can go through what was sent over for our Q1 and Q2 updates. And then we can circle back on any items that we want to revisit. I'll keep it pretty high level for the intro here, and then we can dive in. So towards the kind of middle of last year, we officially codified the EDC from a council to a commission with bylaws, and with that solidified our term limit, and got our new leadership in place for 2025. So that first item one kind of focuses on some of the continuity efforts there. Number two, one of the largest items so far this year is our business survey relaunch. We've spent some time trying to really hone in on certain items that the city could use the most help with, both from prospective businesses coming to North Plains as well as businesses within the city. So what are some of the low-hanging fruit that might have been a challenge for a business starting in the city, as well as kind of maintaining a steady business within the city. We'll come back to that item. We've had some success with that, but a couple setbacks that we just want to focus on and regroup before initiating that again with the survey effort. We also have been very active in the urban renewal budget planning, as Chris mentioned. We have EDC members on all sorts of commissions and planning groups, project teams, throughout all the kind of the ongoing efforts within the city. So both the URA as well as looking into different options for utilizing the EDC's budget in a manner that will benefit our existing businesses. So we talked about things like using our budget to host trainings for current businesses. I think one idea that we were focusing on was bringing in consultants to help some of the businesses get more familiar with and be able to use more social media marketing and some of those tools so that they can take them with them and use them going forward. Items 4 and 5, so we're supporting local businesses, promotion, visibility. We met with the developer of Roll Tide Properties, which Amy's not here tonight, but Cup of Yo is one of the anchor businesses there for the properties that are considered those Roll Tide properties, as well as some new business activity. So looking at some of the businesses that are coming into the city, how we can help make the ramp up process smoother for them and remove any roadblocks as best we can. And then the last item, number 6, is kind of tooting our own horn. We do quite a bit of volunteer work as much as we can, as Lisa mentioned, leading the charge with all the volunteer coordination in North Plains events, citywide cleanup day, all of the noodles and doodles and ice cream social and things like that Lisa's put a lot of effort into. So the second half of 2025, just that kind of parting note at the bottom, we're gonna, as I mentioned, focus on relaunching the business survey. We're gonna look at the expansion of the URA grant program, the tenant improvement program we've been pretty involved with. That's helped assist Cup of Yo, Blackwater Coffee, for example, with tenant improvements to help get them started and get their businesses built out how they need it to happen. And then obviously continuing to support our current businesses here with community engagement and try to help with the strategic planning, especially with council's vision here in 2025. Any questions as I kind of went through a lot of information there on what we've been focusing on?
Thanks for the recap of what's been going on. For the second part, especially number 5, as you do the surveys, how are you going to compile that data and report back to us what's needed? Because we are just pretty much actionable. We want to know what you need to happen. We need that happen.
Yeah, and
And if I need a plan. So
right, yeah, we purposefully went into it with trying to quantify as best we can. So we're trying to find certain business either challenges that are within the existing business owners of the city, or some of the things that they can recall were challenges just even starting a business. So being able to quantify that through a business survey, we don't have to get too far in the weeds, but a Likert scale style survey where they can rate whether they agree or disagree with a certain statement that falls under different categories that we've identified as starting businesses, maintaining businesses, whether the city's supporting them enough in their business.
will there be some kind of indicator to whether I need to do a more follow-up with a company? Say that they're really low or something's really high. They're just like, and I think it's fine, little small things here, something really bad or really high. Is there a plan to assess them maybe in person and
Yeah,
let us speak plain English? Like what's happening?
yeah, so that phase 1 would be initiating the survey, getting results back and analyzing those results. Phase 2 would be actually boots on the ground, going and meeting with the business owners, trying to develop a relationship and rapport with those business owners and use the survey not at a specific, hey, you answered this question. It's supposed to be an anonymous and taken at an aggregate level so that we can just see trends within the city instead of kind of poking at specific answers supplied. If businesses want to give direct feedback and identify themselves, they can, but definitely the second phase would be going and meeting with businesses, getting more familiar with the faces.
Since it's anonymous, doing a follow-up is gonna be hard then, right?
Yes, that we don't plan on following up with specific businesses unless they request.
I would say, and there is an open text field.
Yeah, there's an open text field, and there's also identifiers as far as what the business type is. And so there are some questions towards the end of the survey that's like, what's your size of business? What's your employee size? Are you a home business? Are you in like what type? And so that way, it is anonymous, but if it's a large business with 100 employees, there's only a handful of those in North Plains. And so it'd be pretty easy to self-select who that is and go knock on their doorstep. So the idea is for it to be anonymous, but we do have some questions in there to help us identify where those trends are, what those types of businesses are that are having the challenges.
Council.
And I like the idea of it coming in as an aggregate, because often you might hear from somebody a very big concern or a concern they have, and that somebody else may not have written it down. But then when it's addressed, they're like, oh yeah, that's my concern too, you know, so it's sort of finding the pulse, essentially, of the area and what's there. As well as the outreach to the individual business owners. Now, I reached out to as well. I have been contacted and know that there's another group in town that's meeting and is working on a survey and working to meet with business owners. It seems like this is something that could be dovetailed with support, you know, so that increase the volunteerism, taking someone with you to go out to a business, for example, going forward, and be able to connect people in the community who are interested in that area with our ECDEV area too, so that we're not having competing things happening, which becomes confusing for businesses. So just something to bring up there with that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth partnering in that specific instance, because we already struggle to be transparent with who the EDC is. A lot of businesses will confuse us with the chamber, for example. So if there's now a third party involved, it's just gonna cause more confusion. So the, I guess, fewer instances we can, the more we can eliminate any crossover and doubling up on the work and just partnering with the different groups on that, I think the better.
I think the biggest area for partnership as well with the survey component is getting the word out that there is a survey. And so looking to these other organizations like Strong Towns, which I know is the one that No's mentioned.
Yeah.
Just maybe not rewriting the whole survey, but getting the biggest support would be, hey, there's a survey out, we'd like you to complete it, we'd like to collect this information. This information is helpful for the city council to then, you know, shape policy based on what we're hearing. And so that's been the greatest challenge. And so as we look to partner with council, as partner with other organizations, I think it's not so much going back and rewriting, but having a large force going out and saying, hey, this is out there. We really need support in getting this completed so we can take that information and shape policy with it.
So it's getting everybody behind
Yeah,
it together.
absolutely.
Which would be great and I think help. I realize it's a volunteer position, right, for the Economic Development Commission. And so to help with extra support in those areas could be helpful too.
Right.
And Madam Councilman, do you have information on this other group? Also?
Yes, I shared that with your council, or your commission chair and vice chair. So they do have that as you go forward.
What other question? Councilor Hagar, I can't believe you haven't said something. Okay, nothing? I figured you'd have it. Well, real quick, I just want to make a comment, and I think I'll come back to Councilor Page here. So based on previous surveys, do we have an idea of what types of businesses are looking to come, or let me rephrase this. Two questions. What businesses we would like to have and what businesses are looking to come here? Yes, that'd be a better question. And are they similar or different?
I think that would be two separate groups that you'd want to pull on that. So like the types of businesses you would want here would be more to the constituents, the community as a whole. And then as far as what businesses are here, that would be to the business community. So I think that kind of goes out to because this one is really a business survey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to the business survey and say, hey, what type of businesses do you want here? Unless they need like ancillary businesses to support their own. That's something that should go to the whole saying, hey, and I know what the answer number one's gonna be, it's gonna be a grocery store. And that has been done in the past.
So we kind of have the data. Okay, then that's why I was just.
Yeah.
I didn't-
Although I'll say, we did do a survey several years ago, and being back then, I think a lot of places to eat. And I think today, when we do that survey again, that answer might be different.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting when you do the survey to do a differential trend, just because I like numbers and data. And then one more question, and I'll give it back to Councilor Page real quick. So business association, you brought it up. I know we talked about it when I was on EDC. And I also know Bill at one point, I believe, if I remember right, had suggested one for downtown as well. How can we help? I guess would be is there something, or is that just something that just needs to happen organically? I don't know.
I think it's something, it probably won't happen organically in that, like, we definitely need some help, like, driving it forward. I can't say we've spent too much time discussing it yet, but it is something that we want to touch on going into the second half of the year. I know we, had a guest speaker, blanking on his name, Lawrence was here, and he was the big proponent of some of that work, and so we were hoping to bring him in last month as a guest speaker, and he wasn't able to make it, so some of the scheduling conflicts there. So going forward, that's definitely something we want to lean on him a little bit with his experience with that, and getting, whether it's a, Glencoe corridor, or expand the scope of that.
The biggest challenge with that is not getting the groundwork done, like writing bylaws are pretty boilerplate. You can go to any, Main Street organization, look at their bylaws, copy, paste, change the name, all well. Registering with the state of Oregon, also easy, takes like 5 minutes. The biggest hurdle with that moving forward is finding the leader in the community that's going to lead that organization, because it's going to be a volunteer effort to begin with. And so I think if you want to see them move forward and get off the ground, council's going to have to be very vocal and saying, hey, this is something that we want to see happen, and we need a leader in the community to step up and lead this.
And we should, I think the recommendation is a business owner in the community.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
I think the needs was, thing number 1 was grocery store, 2 was something healthcare related, and 3 was childcare. I think those are the top 3 bullets that we had for that. Is this gonna come out through an email where it says northplains.gov on it versus some guy? Right?
Some guy in a basement.
Actually, no,
Hold on, I'm registering that domain.
Yeah. We initially,
We have, there's other groups out there, there's the Chamber of Commerce, that we can. Using that, and there's also Smart Plane, Smart Growth, that's also all doing the same thing at the same time.
so we partnered with the chamber initially in our first round to initiate the survey via.
So you guys are gonna do it, you're gonna, do you have permission to put like the chamber and economic, we're doing this one, so you do one of them, so that I get 3 different things?
Well, I think that was part of the confusion, is it came from a chamber email address that probably confused folks on if it's a survey they should be taking, or kind of what if it was just an announcement type thing that the survey would be coming out. So our plan going forward was to initiate it ourselves, the EDC, in terms of what email it comes from is still not solidified, but
Are you working with the chamber to try to like narrow it down so we don't get spammed and hard working, hard business, when business in Europe, everybody wants to know your business, right? So is that, are we gonna work with the chamber to try to like, combine efforts?
for the actual issuance of the survey, or yeah, so we
There's nothing stopping anybody from doing the survey, right?
Yeah.
So you have a direct contact with us. We listen to what you have to say versus
yeah.
other outside influences that want to have anything they want to do. You are the official body for this. Is there something that you could do to let people know that this is the official one? And there's plenty coming out. However, is this the one that they should care about?
Right.
Can I suggest using, in addition, using things like the logo, using ways to tie it visually to the city when people receive it, to understand that, sort of
Put it at the
explaining who
top
you are.
so people see immediately.
Yeah, somehow that it's connected, would be helpful.
Right.
So, random question, but, I know it's 2025 and we don't use paper, but have we considered putting in the business water bills? I know it's crazy, but putting the paper survey in, I don't know if it would help. I'm just asking a
Yeah,
random question.
I kind of go back and forth on that, honestly, personally, because we're trying to focus on targeting business owners. So in terms of the breadth of reaching out via like a water bill, for example, you're trying to capture probably, 3%.
Well, yeah. Never mind.
But we did talk about having flyers with QR codes that take you to the survey. And explicitly say, are you a business owner within the city of North Plains? And have it at the library, the post office, et cetera. So that is one. But to the earlier point, we just have to make sure our messaging is consistent. We have kind of a clean, at least visual, that this is a more of a formal survey. To kind of ease any type of, spamming of surveys.
Awesome.
Is it okay if I veer from the survey topic at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, so, one of the things that, we had talked about with these work sessions is really sort of making sure that our boards and commissions are aligned with the council goals and priorities. And I don't know if everyone has heard them, so I was going to share very quickly the ones especially related to the, Economic Development Commission. So our strategic pillars of the foundation, sort of that offset vision really is a self-governing, meaning that we're an independent city with high livability, that we're a vibrant, small town feel, that we're inclusive and connected community, that we have a strong, supported and sustainable economy, and that we have excellent stewardship. In the priorities area, that were priorities for the budget direction, but of course, that funded those and then funds what are the priorities. So I think so seems applicable in terms of the economic development area. It was proactively planning for North Plains' future. So its strategic documents support fiscally responsible and sustainable growth. That's all kinds of things like zoning, etc. Implementing effective economic development programs that support small businesses and increase the vibrancy of downtown and other commercial areas. And increase community involvement and access to improve communication and connectivity, which we've just been talking about with the survey, and ensure North Plains is a safe, affordable, and resilient community for all its residents. In addition, we looked at prioritized enhancing community services, minimizing resources to the urban growth boundary, working to expand police coverage and increasing investment in the public works team. With that, I think that what we've heard tonight and what you're working on is very much in line with those things. One of the questions that I have is that we have a downtown improvement plan that is very much tied to the Economic Development Commission and a set of strategies and actions. Are you tracking those and where is that at? I know there's been things on hold based on transitions that have happened, et cetera. So there's 5 strategies and goals and actions. And so just wondering where that is with that and how we can support that since, that is our city plan for this improvement area.
I don't know, so Lisa was on the kind of project advisory committee for the downtown improvement plan when all of that was built out. And I don't know if there's been much movement since that was initiated and kind of socialized some of those goals. Lisa, have you heard anything?
Unless the city has updates, I have not heard a lot, and I don't think as a committee we've heard a lot.
It kind of shifted, at that time, it shifted the focus from a downtown improvement to a UGB expansion.
Right,
In
so,
terms
but currently there's things in here like, conducting outreach to the businesses, which is certainly happening.
And that
in the
actually
survey.
is one.
And,
Yeah.
inventory properties and creating new events and those kinds of things. So, I think it would be great if the Economic Development Commission, and this is a question for council moving forward, would look at this in terms of where things are going and align to that as we look to kind of connect those and make sure that we're meeting all of our plans. When I say each board and commission had a plan, and then there's a few extra ones. So, as a council, those are our goals and strategies and trying to make sure that we're implementing those. And some are through the commission, some are going to be through staff and other means as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. We can take it as an agenda item at our next meeting to really review that in more detail. The 2 that you mentioned are 2 that we've actually focused on between the survey, and we've done an inventory of available land as well.
Right.
And started some of those efforts, but in terms of like completion and seeing it to fruition for a lot of these things, I think sometimes we feel like we're working in a vacuum and we'll maybe focus on an item, but there's somewhat of a disconnect between what we're working on, maybe what council is aware of, what
Right.
we're working on and things like
And
that.
that's why we hope to bring that all together through these. And I did say quarterly, but this map lays it out so that annually it's meeting in person for one work session and then 2 updates
Yeah,
to the council. But it would be great to sort of be able to be more connected on what those things are through those reports. We get staff reports every month, and if we get those, 3 times a year.
right.
With an in-person meeting, we should be able to be more connected.
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, sorry, Councilor Hagan.
When would be the next meeting, Counselor Caldwell, that we would have with them? I would love to understand how their goals are nesting up under the council goals.
So, we have the ex officios meeting monthly with the ECDA, so it could always be reported out there or in a meeting. In terms of the starting the new year and kind of keeping it going, this year we started late. So, it puts the ECDA board and the council in a joint work session in April. So a little ways out. But there are opportunities. I mean, we, as a council, we're probably going to be looking at how do we collect that information all the way across the board, so we know when we're achieving those priorities and goals that we've set, but also where we are within our plans.
I like that idea. It'd be nice to know that actually.
I have a specific question. One of the things you mentioned, we did start an inventory of available, it's actually just an inventory of our businesses, and we focus on commercial street and available property. The question is, it stalled a little bit. What could the council do with that kind of information? What would be helpful with that inventory for the council?
Well,
I don't even recall asking for it.
no, I'm gonna say that's something that seems like it should be routed through our city management, our city manager. So that, as things come up, that may be a relevant question, and then we have that data and we're able to gather that. And I think it will probably come up, for example, when you have the survey to then say, well, what can we do and what fits where, and as we look at growth. Sorry.
No, I agree, sorry, I'm curious to understand. Something that keeps coming up is we don't have businesses, we don't have people support, enough people to support businesses, things like that. But the question is, I guess, is what businesses are interested in coming here? Because we have some we've got a number of businesses, but what businesses are looking to come to us? And I think that's a challenge that we just don't understand yet. And then the question becomes, how do we create policies to address that?
I think the net of what I'm hearing here is too, Aaron would like to know what the pathway is to enroll EDC has in attracting new businesses and what that journey looks like from start to finish. And then the other thing I'm hearing is that we would like to understand what the current goals are for the EDC and how that rolls up to the council's goal at a macro level. And how we can support you guys to push that forward.
And one more add-on, this is a hard question, I'm trying to think how to ask it. Does our current, I know my answer, but I want your answers, at some point. Does our current zoning and code support where we want to go? I've talked to planning commission about this, but I also feel like, and obviously I talked to Jerome, but you also have a huge stake in this. So I'd be curious for your input as well, because to be honest, some of you, I know your jobs and you kind of probably have a lot more experience than I do in this. So it'd be helpful to understand from your perspective, are there things that we need to take to planning commission with changing the code that will help make it more business friendly? Because the thing that concerns me is, just last city council meeting, which I had pulled the report prior, the University of Oregon said, we're not business friendly state. And I understand why, but what can we do to mitigate that at the North Plains level?
Yeah, so one of the items that's come up, as far as like code, especially the ECDev, has been signage. I think when we spoke with, the Roll Tide development owner, one of the biggest issues they had was getting signage up on Glencoe Street to show people what the businesses were that are there. And so that was something that they said was a challenge. And this was just recently, so you haven't heard it because it was about a month ago.
Right.
But that was, so when you're talking about like policy that we could bring back or policy recommendations, it would be, hey, how can we, this is something we're hearing from developers, from business owners. People don't know my business is here. It's pushed back from the main road. And what we'd like is a sign up closer to Glencoe to advertise that we have businesses here that people can frequent. That is something that they found was a roadblock with the city's current code. Zoning, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? And do you have any requests from the council to help with you guys with that?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. They need the code updated to where they can put signage closer to Glencoe to advertise.
Quick question, and I'll let Rowan answer, but real quick, just a follow-up. I thought when we talked about that at EDC, and this is just me trying to like remember.
Yeah.
I thought what we had decided was, Rowan could probably help, but we needed, that was what the business association, because we needed to pay for it.
It was the business association, but also the biggest barrier that the developer said in that meeting was the code did not support it at this time.
All right, so since Rowan's the expert, I'm gonna ask her, as it's been.
Yeah, I'll make this a two-part answer. First, the planning commission spent many months on a brand new sign code that was adopted in summer of last year, and we did a small amendment in November. And secondly, you are right, there's complications specifically with the Roll Tide development being back off the road in that their property. The property that is along Glencoe in front of them is not owned by the same people. And so there's been. From what I have heard secondhand, I'll say, Dave Van Day has not approached me about a permanent sign on Glencoe Road for the Roll Tide development. I have heard all of this information secondhand, so I have not had a firsthand conversation with Dave about this. But our code as it exists, I do believe there is a possible way for there to be a sign up there. But I haven't had that conversation with Dave or the owner of the property on which Taco Bell is located. Until I have those conversations, I can't provide a more solid answer, unfortunately.
And that's just a weird business design. He has it behind other businesses. It's even hard to get into that. You have to go down this. Like, and he's the one that actually built that, like, well, you know. So that's kind of, you know, hard on, he has a weird property that he's trying to, and that's one of the problems they're having, so.
We
He
should
has an
still,
idea.
we should still help support.
Right, but
driving
does
business.
he have an idea to help fix that? And
Yeah.
so we worked on signs a lot. So.
So the signage is in process right now, in terms of looking at all the options and trying to figure out a way to address that. I know that I reached out about it because I had someone ask me, you know, and there's also the restrictions on Glencoe versus, you know, signage off the road sort of thing that you're doing. So I know that planning is in that process right now, so I don't think that there's currently a policy change that is coming forward to address that or needed at the moment.
Well, I don't think it's been one that's been brought up yet,
Right.
as far as we know.
Right.
As far as the current situation with Glencoe Road goes, we have what the planning commission believes to be a much more robust sign code now for Glencoe Road. And when it comes to Roll Tide, until I have that firsthand conversation,
Yeah.
there isn't really much more that I can provide.
So if I could summarize, it sounds like what we need is for Dave to bring that to Rowan. And
Initiate like.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could be something like, you know, talk up sign and all the lists on it, but it's just weird, right? Enter here.
Well, and I remember when I was at EDC, we did talk about that briefly, and I talked to a couple of people about, and I understand why it happened. It's unfortunate. But we're kind of, now we're stuck with it, so I'm just trying to think, like, how can we make it better? Counselor.
I have another not sign related question. I'm just looking at timing too.
Yeah.
So, one of the other things that council has discussed is looking at, the membership and the terms and such like that with all of our boards and commissions. And so with the, EDC, it's 7 members, 3-year terms, correct? And, and that there needs to be a positive interest in the North Plains economic development, and or, a resident or business that is, and then no more than 2 members outside of the city limits. So with that said, and with your experience on the commission, you know, how do you feel about, you know, should there be a term limit and how many terms that you could do? Or does the 3 years make sense? Or does 7 members make sense? Any of the changes or ideas within that area?
We originally proposed term limits and we were the only commission that had term limits written in the proposal. And so it was met with, it would be lack of consistency to have one board and commission that had term limits while others did not. We would gladly step away after 2 terms.
Wait,
Let me understand, you were suggesting 2 terms.
Yes.
interesting. Hopeful. All right, what's your next left turn?
That was it. Thank you very much. Unless there's any more to that, but I wanted to make sure that we got that question in tonight. Thank
We
you.
did ask about the number, and I,
Oh.
we did decide that we did divide into 2 subcommittees with Eric's subcommittee. But I do think in terms of the number and being able to have a subcommittee where we can communicate without having a quorum has been very helpful.
So the 7 is good for that.
To be able to divide it to
Yeah,
subcommittees, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate
and
that.
actually, I did have a question, so. And I apologize if you know this, because I'm part of the chamber, but I'm not there as much as I would like to be. How are you all as EDC working with the chamber?
Sporadically, that's definitely a relationship I think we can foster a bit more. And
I was just curious, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm learning, so that's why I'm asking.
no, I mentioned it too, a lot of times if we're more public facing with the project, we'll get confused, us versus the chamber, and so it probably would be most beneficial to partner with the chamber more and be able to not necessarily represent both parties, but have a better understanding of how we can differentiate the 2 groups and just stay tied in on what they might be focusing on and what we can focus.
What about the state level? I know we have some resources for business development at the state. They have a lot of tools for local EDCs, and they encourage close interaction. How has that been going for you guys?
In terms of our interaction with the state level, or we haven't had much interaction. Attended conferences in the past and try to get involved that way.
Washington County, was it Economic Development Alliance? We've been in attendance of that. I myself go to OBI's annual meeting on a pretty regular basis, also serve on the Washington County Chamber Board of Directors, so. It's the group of the folks that you have on this commission. It might not be, again, you look for an ECDF commission that is made up of individuals that have those personal connections too. I mean, if you look around this group, we have a very talented group of folks that have those connections, even if they're not acting in official ECDF capacity. But as far as ECDF capacity, yeah, the commission could step into more going as a group to OBI or going to as a group to the Western or to the Washington County Economic Development Alliance. But yeah, I think it's the sum of this group is the individuals, and we have very strong individuals that are automatically doing that stuff on their own.
Can I add that, the group started, I think the commission was formed in 2018.
Yeah,
So it's still pretty young. It has an operating board or group, and, so it's sort of building those structures and strategies and alliances so that they will become part of a regular process will be good too.
And I think if there are recommendations for organizations we should be involved in, I think we were all be very open to that. I know the Main Street is a little challenging without an organization in our city.
Right.
There are resources there, but hard without an organization.
So since you put URA on here, so aside from the council, what do you need from the URA board to do? Or how can URA help, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think a lot of it might be ways we can help the URA if there's like a certain initiative that we want to focus on, like budget wise, where we want to focus our resources and how we can help push that forward. I think that would be some of the low hanging fruit. I don't know if. Yeah.
At one point, one of the things we did is we went out and each of us did research on what other cities are doing for their URA, their incentives, and so we would be, I think we'd be open to redoing that again, doing some homework to bring to the council of just some ideas of what other cities in Oregon are doing.
I would love to see that body of research if you could, if it's on.
Yeah, it's a little dated, but we could definitely refresh it and come back if that's something that'd be helpful.
Even the dated research would be great too.
Okay.
Anything around best practices is always helpful. All right, counselors. What else? Sure.
Yeah, I have a quick comment on Councilor Michelle's previous comment. I think when you were making the submission, you were making references to a document in front of you. What document is that? Is this something you can share with
The
me?
downtown improvement plan or the pillars and, priorities. of the
Yeah,
council.
of the company.
Yeah, we can make sure that those get to,
I have a note.
thank you.
Jack looks at the text. She's not.
Anything else, anybody? Well, I will say thank you. EDC is definitely one of my passions, not that we have favorite children, but. But no, not that we have favorite.
The other ones aren't here, so.
The other ones aren't here, so ignore this on the recording. No, but really,
What's our favorite?
this is super important. Yeah, you're one of our top, 4, 5, 7. But in all seriousness, we really do appreciate this, and I'm curious to see where this goes, as far as what we can bring in. I'm also very interested in how we can help with the business climate and the code stuff too, if that will help, like whatever it takes that we need to do as a council or as a URA board to support, we want to take action, and I know I'm trying to talk to as many people as I can to basically ask a lot of questions and send them like, well, you should probably attend an EDC meeting. It's usually and the chamber meeting was my 2 answers to everything. So, well, I can't really help you, but here's the 2 bodies that actually can. So hopefully that helps. But otherwise, if nothing else, thank you. And I guess we'll be adjourned until 7 o'clock. Very good. Oh,
Yeah, that's.
I'm not.
sorry. Ready? Hey, I call the, whatever day this is, July 1st, 2025 City Council meeting to order at 7:01. We've done pledge of allegiance. Lori, would you please do roll call?
Thank you. Council President Dunbrow,
Present.
Councilor Page.
Here.
Councilor Hagedorn.
Here.
Councilor McCall Wallace,
Here,
Councilor Papen. Councilor Redding.
Here.
And Mayor Goodwin. You're still technically on until the resolution is accepted.
Fair enough, present.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. Next item is the approval of the minutes for July 7th. Any discussion or, yes, Councilor?
Yeah, the discussion on page 5, under public comment for July 7th, it was section 6E. There was a comment that Don Weber, city resident, submitted written materials, but I never got them.
Did you click back on the agenda today at all?
No.
Cause it was a glitch with the platform. I had to completely unload the agenda packet and reload it onto our city website, and it's there now.
Okay, so his comments
It
are
is, yep.
in the news.
They're in the minutes.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Any other comments?
Excellent.
If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the council minutes for July 7th and June 16th.
Right. I have a motion on the table. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the council minutes for July 7th and June 16th, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we move on to public comment. I have before Lori and then one on mine. Correct?
Correct.
All right, so first is former Mayor Goodwin. If you'll come up and inside or outside the city, and you have 3 minutes.
Alrighty, as you know, inside the city. And I've timed this and it's under 3 minutes from an ADA rights perspective. I would appreciate not being cut off if I have to read this more slowly or take breaks due to my health. I will be reading this to the end. Good evening. Ladies, you've already received my resignation. And I have nothing to add that isn't already in writing, except this. I want to be crystal clear that what happened here is not just administrative. It is not procedural. And no watered-down city press release via your preferred news outlet will successfully strip the heart, the truth, or the will of the people from the record. You don't get to decide whether my voice matters. The community does. And they're watching now, closely. Let me say that again. The community is watching. Every move from here forward must be transparent, accountable, and community-led. There is no acceptable path forward that does not include the public. And let me be very direct. You are on notice. That doesn't mean you're beyond redemption. It means the clock has run out on backroom decisions, retribution, and fear-based leadership. There's still time to choose a different path, a better path. The people in this room and the people who sent us here deserve leaders who remember why they ran in the first place. City council and staff are here to serve, not to protect power, not to build careers, not to pass the buck or punish the inconvenient. I know how hard it is to do the right thing when it's uncomfortable, when it's unpopular, when it costs you. But you didn't take this seat to do the easy thing. You took it to do the right thing. You can still choose transparency. You can still rebuild trust. You can still listen. This community deserves nothing less. I'll leave you with this. From this point forward, the public is your accountability partner. The community is organized. We are informed, and we are done being ignored. We will be watching everything. This is going to be fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, next I have Brian Wilson, UGB.
I'm a resident of North Plains.
You?
Hi, my name is
I'm sorry, can I have you state your name for the record? So it's on.
Brian Wilson.
Thank
You
you.
just read it. I'm a resident of North Plains. I hate public speaking, but I'm getting so pissed off about this UGB situation that I had to come and say something. I thought the situation was resolved with the vote last year. Huge expansion of this town. It is insane that we have a city manager and staff who are communicating with backroom deals and large expansions. Why does the vote of the people who voted overwhelmingly against the expansion not matter? Do better.
Thank you. Next, Bishop. Update reopening Sisters and stuff. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Kathy Bishop. Sorry, I'll speak a little. My bad. And if you could just state your name and inside or outside, just for the recording, please.
Kathy Bishop, live outside, have a building inside the city.
Thank you.
Soon to be Sisters and Stuff, a vintage store. I have applied for some of the urban renewal funding. I have not heard anything back. I would just ask again that that stays on the agenda and I get some kind of answer on that at some point. But I did want to give you good news. We got our building permit. So after several years, in a very long journey, we are moving forward and, we will find a way. If anyone knows my family, it's blood and guts and we'll get it done. So whether we get the money or not, you will have a store in North Plains and we're gonna be proud owners and part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. And next is Emily Waldron, UGB and Community Press. Yeah,
Okay, my
yeah.
name,
Thank
my
you.
name is Emily Waldron. I am technically a resident outside the city, but I always like to bring up the township. Because I think it makes a difference that I am 5 minutes down the road and not from Westland or Portland or even further afield. I wanted to continue the conversation that everybody seems to be talking about right now, which is the UGB and expanding. I think it's important to continue remembering that we do not need an HNA. We will not need a housing and needs analysis if we continue on our projected population growth for the next 40 years. It'll be about 40 years before we hit 10,000 people in North Plains. So the HNA will not apply to us for 40 years. The OHNA will not apply to us for about 40 years. We don't need to do one. And I know everyone is bringing up like, oh, money was spent, this has already been done, but at what point does it become a sunk cost fallacy that we continue putting energy and money into this trajectory as opposed to letting it drop? It has not been approved and accepted by anyone. And we can instead focus on one, smaller growth, which the community is open for and interested in. And I believe we can grow by 50 acres without having to do any sort of huge research project for a lot of it. And we also can take the time to build community trust. It's very evident talking to a lot of people living in town that a lot of people have very big distrust in the city body, both the council and city staff. Especially like looking at things like there's all these lies about the HNA and all this pressure, it's constant pressure. If we have this housing needs analysis, we have to act now by the end of the year, on and on and on. When that pressure is a lie, we don't have to. The lies around the TGM grant. Why does it take an outside citizen group leaking the grant for citizens to actually begin to know and see what is in that grant that our city signed on to? Why do we have all these lies about expansion? How much we are expanding, where we are expanding, when we are expanding, what is going to be on the expansion plan? How many times do we hear that there was nothing about semiconductors or data centers in the expansion, yet the TGM grant specifically states semiconductors, data centers, and the CHIPS Act? We need to work on building the trust again amongst the community. I would like to encourage you all. I think an easy thing you could do would be to rescind resolutions 489 and 490. 489 has to do with the HNA, which we do not need the housing needs analysis. That should be really easy to rescind. It's not needed for us. 490 was passed to approve an 855 acre expansion. We're not doing an 855 acre expansion. We had a referendum on it last year. Rescind both of those and begin to build trust in people in this body. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, perfect. All right, and we have Linda online. So Linda Gelsmartin, if you like to unmute, say your name and inside or outside, and you have 3 minutes.
There we go. Good evening, Council. My name is Linda Gallis-Merton. As most of you know, I'm representing Strong Towns, North Plains, with members both inside and outside the city boundary. Tonight, I'd like to talk about some things in the city that are not functioning properly. In May 2024, voters said a resounding no to 855 acres of UGB expansion. Yet city staff is marching ahead with the TGM grant that still has the 855 acres in it, after Mayor Lenahan last August signed an intergovernmental authorization to proceed with it. We cannot find that she had the approval of the council, nor do we have a legal opinion saying she had the authority under law to act alone. We question the legality of moving forward. This is not a city functioning properly. We have a city whose finances are in shambles. The city uses woefully outdated software, has a financial staff of 1 to account for a multi-million-dollar budget, and the council and public get no regular reports on our income and outflow. Instead, we have to trust by city manager's declaration that all is well. This is not a city functioning properly. The city failed its 2020 audit, and we cannot move forward with further audits until that one is corrected. The city manager would have you believe that there are just a few minor adjustments to make, and we will be back on track. But we ask, if the adjustments are so minor, what is taking so long? A strong town is not out of compliance and does not allow its finance department to be in such disarray. This is not a city functioning properly. We have a city website that, for whatever reason, cannot be kept up to date. This is not a city functioning properly. Finally, we wonder why the council puts its faith in a city manager whose aims and ambitions for North Plains are his own, rather than those of the voters and the broader community. We need a city manager who respects the will of the voters, who understands that he works for a newly elected council rather than being beholden to outside developers, their interests, and who care nothing for North Plains other than the profits they can reap from her. This is not a city that is working properly. We ask you to think hard about the direction in which we are headed and make the necessary changes to put us on a sustainable and financially sound path forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and just confirming here, that's the last public comment?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you. So next, I believe we're moving on to boards and commissions quarterly report, and I believe Sherry Simmons for Parks.
I don't think she's here.
Oh, do I have a wait for Parks?
Something came up, so I don't think there's anybody here.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
there's a written.
There is a written report, so we're very appreciative. I did look through that. Is there any comments on the report? Anybody? So we can ask questions.
It's great to see the report.
Yeah, I was gonna say there.
I have to say that, it was great to see that from the board.
Yeah, I thought it was a good report. You can ask each other questions, or we can ask each other questions. This won't do any good. Well, good, then let's move on to staff reports. So,
Okay, can I just,
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add, that I believe that the Parks Commission, Parks and Recreation Board will be doing the joint session with the council next month.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. So Robin, library report.
Good evening, City Council. We, for the first time, prepared a biennium retrospective with the concluding of the biennium budget. One of our staff, Eric Danko, created a dashboard kind of showing all the things the library did with that biennium budget, and that should have been included in your packet. And I just wondered if that's something that was interesting, if something maybe you'd like to see in future budget cycles when they conclude, or if it's something that 1 year is more interesting with the data. So you can let me know that later. We had the blood bus today in front of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
My question, so are you saying? I'm trying to rephrase your thoughts and make sure I understand. Are you saying, do we want the data more often or just at budget cycles? Is that what you're asking?
Well, we thought it might be interesting to see the whole budget cycle summed up in what we delivered from the library in a dashboard. So if that's something that you liked, we can do it again, you know, or we can just stick to annually or 2 years next to each other or something. But we like to present the data to you so you can see really clearly what we're doing with the funding and how it benefits the community.
I think it would be great to see the biennium budget, or of the biennium report, tied to the budget, cycle. So that we saw that at both the, but we saw it annually, one,
Right.
like in, you know, in that February, April timeframe, and again, you know, as the year end closes for the supplemental, so.
Also writing it. May have got it.
I'm not seeing the biennium one, I'm seeing the month at a glance one, but Lori knows my challenges with these apps, so. Am I missing it?
Oh, I thought,
Maybe, do you see it?
I'm scrolling.
I know, I'm like, is it at the very end, did it get mixed? somewhere?
If it wasn't
Yeah.
included, I'll make sure you get a copy of it.
I saw it at the library meeting, so.
Okay.
I would-
Yeah.
So, 172,107 items borrowed, 68,138 visitors, and 5,211 open hours. Are just some of the numbers featured on there, the biennium. We had the blood bus today in front of the library from Bloodworks Northwest. And I didn't get a final count from them, but I know they had 9 people signed up ahead of time and took walk-ins. And I don't have any other updates from my report. Does anyone have any questions?
That's good.
Will the blood bus be coming back?
So right now they're on an every other month cadence. They started outreach in North Plains and they've had a positive response, so they'd like to continue. And again, the American Red Cross and them are partners, so they're not in competition. They both support each other, and this is a life-saving measure, so yes.
Great. Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, and this is Chief Nick, but I think.
It's official.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I couldn't remember who was covering tonight. I knew he was out, I just couldn't remember.
They put your name in front.
Well, you're Nick.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I trust that everyone got a copy of the report.
Yes.
Just like last time, I do not have anything to add, but I'm open to questions.
Counselor?
I think the heat map.
Yeah.
It might be a new addition. It was cool to see.
I
Maybe
noticed that as well.
a little scary if you look at your address and you don't like the proximity of the circle. I was wondering if there's been any talk now that you guys have a regular volunteer, Joanna, if there's any plans to do some creative writing with police blogs. And I only say because that's like my favorite thing to read. In particular, Shorewood has a really good comedian writing there. So I was wondering if there's any questions.
I mean, I like it. I think that's a great idea, but am I gonna be the one to write it? I would say probably not. I absolutely bring it up with Chief Jones, again, I think it's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
So 2 months ago, you had there was some talk about getting funding for a traffic focus. How's that progressing there, do you know?
Are you talking about the grant focused on like
Right.
traffic enforcement?
On Glencoe?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that has been obtained. I don't know when that begins or when that.
Please let me know
Yeah, absolutely.
ahead of time.
Yeah, sure. But I do believe that's been approved and I'm just waiting for when those slots open up.
Cool. I'll just say, I think the bike patrol is cool, because I think it's great for small communities, so.
The bike patrol?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad we
that's a
got
new
that.
one, yeah.
I'm pretty stoked, that's awesome. All right, well, thank you,
Absolutely.
appreciate it,
Thank you all.
and we're looking forward to some great comedic blotter reports.
Okay, John, all right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dustin.
Good evening, council. Hopefully I wrote a pretty good report and I'm open up for questions.
Counselor?
You did write it.
You did. Great.
I have questions.
Of course.
You were talked about a new integration with, I'm not gonna pronounce this, AMGIS.
IMGIS.
Is that for 5-letter TLA? So questions about really what the benefit to the city will be, what do you anticipate being the city's cost savings or efficiency gains with the implementation of this new system?
I tried to explain that in the report, and right now we use Diamond Maps for our GIS service, which is a basic bare bones application, and a lot of larger cities use Esri, and so we bought into Esri that now we can use that to update our GIS maps and use IMGIS as basically an all-around asset management tool. Plus we can use that for work orders. We also have a customer-based response on there that instead of doing a web form that we have right now that will send a basic email of our complaints. There will be a map based off of our GIS system in which a resident can go on there and basically plot where an issue is. And these issues will not just go directly to me or an email, it'll actually go to the correct crew member that is responsible for that. Because that's one of the things that I'm trying to do is make sure that these requests miss the middleman, you know, which has been me triaging a lot of these things and go directly to the person responsible for the. So there's kind of, yeah, there's a huge efficiency note in this particular program.
Justin, can you speak up a little bit
Okay,
to
I'm
the
sorry.
audience?
So with this program, we're gonna see a lot more efficiency. And with that, we're going to turn from a basically a complaints driven program to more of a preventative maintenance program. And that's kind of the long-term goal, is so that we're not reactive all the time, but we can be able to plan for future maintenance. And so with this asset management system, we can basically plan future things, because there are so many things that we need to do with our water system that we need to keep up to date and we need to track. We can also track our streets, and we can track the age, we can track the condition, and all of this information, you know, is just a huge collection of data that we can use to better make decisions in the future. And I can't explain how much of I'm really excited about this program. Especially coming from larger cities that like they use something similar, but this is like the best that we can get for the money that we have. And so it's a really big leap from what we had, and it's going to help us years down the road.
Oh, sorry.
In
Sorry.
3 months, when I asked you about your metrics for success tied to this program, what are you gonna report to us on?
Well, hopefully in 3 months, we're gonna have a lot of, like our training is going to be done. I don't know what data I'm going to have in 3 months. The data that I'm gonna have is probably gonna be 6 to 12 months from now, like the really hardline data. Plus, we have a lot of data that we have 3J working on right now that I can put into the system. And it's not something that we're going to see immediate results, but we're gonna see, I'm trying to plan for things 20 years down the road, and I can't do that if I don't have the data in the system right now. So within the next probably 3 to 12 months, we still have a lot of data to input. And so I probably can give you metrics on all the tasks that we have, because right now, you know, we have a mixture of, you know, a whiteboard of all the tasks that we have, as also with Microsoft Planner, we use that, and we have a ton of tasks that my crew is trying to work off of that. This particular software is going to tie our task to a specific asset. And so if we have to come back to that asset, or if we have a complaint, a code enforcement complaint, it will be tied to a particular lot. And so we can kind of go back to these particular items, and we can come up with all that data that we've done this, you know, particular fix on this water meter 5 times in the last 6 years. Or we go to our street, or we go to, you know, a park feature, or in our pump station. And so that's where the data that we're gonna have is, you know, collecting, you know, what do we need to fix right now? It's kind of like the heat map that you just saw. It's like, these are our hot spots. If we have to repair a water line 5 times in a certain segment, we probably need to look at repairing that entire water line instead of keep on replacing a Band-Aid. And so we're coming to a point in time in the age of our infrastructure that's going to be very necessary, because our capital improvement programs we're kind of at a standstill. So that preventive maintenance aspect is going to be pretty important.
Sounds like there'll be some long-term benefits.
It's a long.
Let's support the Councilor Page real quick.
So the Aegis system, from what you're explaining to me, I haven't seen it yet, and I kind of would like to. It looks like it's some kind of a workflow manager.
Yes.
So basically, somebody, listen, the public can make an AR, or something that needs to be addressed, then it goes to open, then somebody has to review it and accept it.
Correct.
And then it gets assigned and closed. The person that signed it gets the email or the internet. that has been closed, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of accountability in there as well. And so if there is a request that comes in, it doesn't get lost in the system. It's right there. And so when they close it out, then it also follows up with the resident that it's been closed out as well.
Will this be able to be made into a report like monthly, like these are
Yes.
the amount of reports we've had open for this particular thing? We
Correct.
could ask questions like, why is this being done so much with the exact same one or anything like
Correct.
that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's perfect. I have a question, but I just realized you weren't on the email thread. I thought you were, and I apologize. I will email you later. I'm gonna follow up to somebody had asked you and I a question and he responded, but he responded only to me, so I'll just send you an email later.
Okay.
Sorry. I was gonna ask you and then I just realized you weren't even on the thread, so
Okay.
we'll talk about it later. But yes, thank you though. I appreciate it. And yeah, the system sounds great and I'm looking forward to some cool metrics because like metrics too. So,
Brian Feeney is online if
I think
anybody has
Brian-
questions for the 3J
I
report.
think he's under community development,
Right, and
so which is next.
yeah, so I just wanted to let
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
so it
Oh, thank
doesn't
you.
get
Sorry.
There's a lot of
caught.
overlap between.
Yes.
And there is a lot of overlap too, but yeah, I just.
Let's just go to Brian. Brian,
Hey, good evening.
good evening.
I have nothing to add from my report that's in the minutes. So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Council?
For 3J and Public Works. Seems like you guys are doing a lot of the same things. How much overlap is there? How do you guys divvy up where work is gonna be done? Do you work directly with?
I direct 3J, and a lot of the things that we do are tied in with planning and development because of the new infrastructure that comes in with planning and development. So there's a lot of overlap. And so Brian reports to me.
Okay. For life like Rumberg. So.
Yeah, and I think at some point, depending on how things go, it'll, you know, move more towards one direction or the other with between who does what piece, but it seems like it's kind of, doesn't sound like there's a lot of overlap, the conversations that I've been involved in. But I could be wrong.
I'm sorry, is there a question in that?
I was just making an assumption. Am I wrong in my assumption?
Is there a lot of overlap between the work you're doing and the work that 3J is doing? Or is it compatible work and you're doing different things?
What Brian does is as a city engineer component of Public Works. Public Works is, if you kind of look at the headline, I'm doing not just Public Works, but I'm doing the water department. I'm also doing the operations for streets. I'm doing all those things. Even though that he has that report for planning and development, a lot of the new development that comes into town is the design and engineering. And so there's a lot of direction that between me and Brian is more Public Works and engineering than it is planning, even though it is all interconnected.
So Dustin, to clarify, you do not do the engineering.
I do not do
Thank
the engineering, but I do direct.
Right, it is connected,
Correct.
but it is not. But do we have people doing the same work, getting paid for the same work, basically? And so that was clarifying that. Thank you.
Correct. They are different aspects of Public Works and I direct all of those aspects.
Thank you.
Oh, Councilor Paper.
I just had a quick question. This might be for Brian, this might be for Dustin. But a couple months ago, a resident had approached us at a meeting mentioning some excessive speeding in Bryn Hill, I think on Timmerick. And I was just curious if there's been any updates on a stop sign or traffic calming within the neighborhood that you can provide for us.
Not long after that resident comment, we installed a couple of speed limit signs with radar on them. And we also tested a new kind of solar panel that was on that, so we can put that in other areas around town too. So we kind of hit two birds with one stone on that one. Yes, we ended up putting radar and on that section of Timmerick.
I guess we wouldn't have any way of knowing if it's effective going there. Sorry.
This has been my question next month for Chief Jones.
Yes, exactly.
But I believe that the city manager reported in a previous month that there were conversations going on with the developer because of the road, so that it is all in process. And I did see those signs.
Well, if you want to speak.
No, I don't like it.
All right, anything else? All right, so that's, I think we're good, and now we will. Sorry, putting you in the hot seat.
Good evening, counselors. I have only one development since the report went out to you all. Today we submitted notices for another public hearing before Planning Commission for the floodplain overlay district update. That came to the Planning Commission back in April. We've since received a small modification to the text to better comply with the clear and objective requirements for residential development under House Bill 2001. So we are holding another public hearing to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to comment on this version of the text. So that will be in August and hopefully be before this body in September, barring any continuations at the Planning Commission.
I need to go back and look now. You mentioned that. I thought we passed that amendment already.
I do not believe we passed it.
All right, sorry.
No, it was.
Starting to lose track of what we were.
It was meant to come to you all
Oh,
and
that's
it
right.
stopped
Okay,
because
sorry.
we were going to make these modifications and
fault.
we're picking it back up now.
Okay, I knew we were somewhere, I just couldn't remember where in the process.
Yes.
That's-
So we're just doing an extra bit of due
Okay,
diligence here. And other than that, I'm open for questions.
Council? Council Hagedorn?
I noticed there was another comment about general code complaints, last month, they're being buried in nature. And the vagueness of this made me want to know, can you explain and elaborate what kind of code complaints we're getting? That are trickling in and how we're keeping track of them for visibility to the community.
I'm sorry.
Code complaints. Code complaints, what are the
Oh,
code
code complaints? Yeah, so the main complaints or questions are about street trees. We've had some questions and concerns about street trees and HOAs, so been corresponding with HOAs regarding what their responsibilities are versus what the city's responsibilities are. The street trees up in Lennar have been a major concern, and then we've been working as a city staff to understand which code complaints go to which department. So I've fortunately, as a result of that effort, seen a decrease in the number of code complaints coming to planning. But we do still see every once in a while, mostly to do with vegetation.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the trees. Why do they die? Is it because of they're the wrong type?
Great question. There's a strip of almost, I think there's 6 in a row and 5 of them are dead out of the 6. We've had a conversation with Lennar, and they've agreed to replace the trees. There's a number of reasons why the trees could have died. They could have been diseased, it could have been dumb luck, there could be something subsoil or subsurface in the soil. But unfortunately, without an arborist coming out, we're not going to know the exact cause, and even then we might not, but the trees will be replaced.
If people are responsible for the frontage line, not the first land, at what point do they have to replace the trees? And is there a list of acceptable trees that we use that's really available?
Yes.
So these are all dying. I'm assuming you probably changed the type of tree.
Yeah, so the trees generally, when we have installments like North Avenue where it's developed under a standard plan, we do try to encourage people to, or the developer, to replace the trees with the same species to maintain a continuity of canopy as the trees grow. But for our street trees, we do use the Washington County approved street trees list. And that's sort of our reference of all the acceptable street trees that can be used in North Plains.
And one more question, sorry. I think you had said at one point, you had talked about you were looking at potentially a tree, something in the tree code.
Yes, that is on our list as a priority code section to be, we currently have a heritage trees section, which is pretty much irrelevant at this moment. We don't have any heritage trees. There are rumors that there is a heritage tree in North Plains. If anyone knows this heritage tree, The planning department would love to know what the heritage tree is. We have no extant record of it. So other than that, the heritage tree code is pretty much unused.
Would it be the centennial oak that was planted? Or is it have to meet a certain point already to be heritage, or is it the plan for it to be a heritage tree since there's the centennial white oak in front of the library annex?
So I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is it a tree that already has to be of a certain age, or is it a tree that's planted as a heritage tree? Because we do have the centennial white oak tree in front of the library annex.
Yeah, the heritage tree has to be nominated and recorded with the city. So the only way to track down what this possible heritage tree, if it still exists and hasn't been cut down, would be someone who was around when it was nominated to come forward and provide some sort of documentation. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to identify it at this point.
It has a plaque. So just that might help.
But we're hoping to go through that code and remodel it to fit a more modern tree code.
Well, and perhaps if any, I'll just put this out to the general public since we're being recorded. If anybody who's been around longer than the rest of us happens to have any data, if you could please work with Rowan. We don't want to accidentally cut down the wrong tree. Please. So please work with us if you know something that we don't know. Any other questions for planning? All right. Thank you for all the staff reports. Very well done. And I love that they're I feel the staff reports are really getting very clear and succinct. Except when I ask questions about trees. All right, so next is new business, and I have an agenda memo, council booth at National Night Out. I'm gonna turn this over to Councilor McCall-Wallace and Councilor Hagedorn to talk about the booth at the National Night Out event.
So this is before you as an agenda item because it's a little bit different than for city council. Typically, city council has already participated, is invited to participate in an event, and we show up. For example, scooping ice cream or at a parade or those kinds of things. This situation, we're looking to do a booth at National Night Out, which we have not done before. And because there is a budget item connected to it, it is brought before you for an approval. And essentially, it is an interactive booth with where people can meet their counselors as the agenda or as the item says, and complete an activity where they will basically place their wish for North Plains on a star, and those will be hung in the booth, and then later on the white oak centennial tree in front of the library annex for everybody in the community to see what folks are wishing for the city of North Plains. Mandy asked me to be involved, and so we connected on this and talked about this project. Essentially, it comes down to a request of finding out if council does want to participate in this and be there and show up, and if they can, and then approving an expenditure of up to $190 to cover the materials for the booth and swag giveaways. And then I'll hand it over to Catherine.
So I think it'd be a great idea for us to show up to this event. I'm in it for the stress balls, the Squeezy Galaxy stress balls. But I also think it's a really great way for us to leave an artifact behind. I really loved the creative concept that Michelle put forward. And I'm hoping that we would have some participation and we can maybe absorb this fiscal impact that Michelle kindly forecasted up to, but not exceeding $190. I appreciate your preciseness, Michelle.
Counselors, what are your thoughts?
Do we need a motion to approve that, or can we just say
Well,
yes?
I think you need to find out if people want to participate and do this, because I can't necessarily be there that evening, and I think it's unfair, and we should not move forward if only Councilor Hagedorn is going to be there for me.
Are there hot dogs?
I don't know.
Yes.
I'll
I'm in,
have that
I'm
for you.
in, I'm in.
And it's on July 31st.
31st.
Thursday, it's July 31st.
Yeah. Down already. Council Payton, thoughts?
I can't attend, unfortunately, I would love to. I'm reviewing my calendar.
I'll say I will be there, but I have to leave a little bit early because I have super early flight, so. But I'll be there to hang out and eat hot dogs with Counselor Page.
We'll definitely need help setting up.
Yeah, I can be there early and I'll hang out as long as I can, for sure. Cause I agree, this is an awesome idea.
I will be there, but I will be, but I will be there.
So it seems like we have good participation. So then, yeah, to Counselor Page's point, that's my next question is, do we need a motion?
Consensus.
Consensus, okay.
Yeah.
Do we have consensus? We want to spend $190 on this? Yeah. Anybody not for this? There'll be hot dogs. See, I knew it. So from now on, if we want something done, we should tell Counselor Page it'll be hot dogs and rain. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it. We're good.
That instruction, the city manager,
okay.
spending authority, so.
Acting city manager? Oh, Bill's on, I'm sorry. All right, Bill, that's the plan. Let us know if you need anything else from us, but we're in.
Sounds very good. No, Councilor McCall Wallace and Councilor Hagedorn have been in great communication about all of this leading up to this evening. So it's just great to hear you all discuss it. So it'll be a great new thing at the event. Thank you.
And can I just add that, I will send over, I leave on Wednesday, so tomorrow I will send over the supply list and the, shopping cart, basically, and the task list and the remaining materials.
Perfect.
She's got the plan. We just have to.
I'll do the
things for you. Thank you.
So, this will be great. Okay, well, it sounds fun. Next item of new business, item B, resolution 2318, accepting the resignation of Mayor Charles Goodwin. So I did double check this, but just so we don't make any mistakes, I'm gonna ask our city attorney, Chris, to walk us through the process. Just for background, just for the record, so as everybody's aware, the mayor made the difficult decision to resign on July 15th. So my understanding is the first step is we accept and set the date. And then the next step will be recruitment, but Chris, can you kind of make sure all this is up?
Yeah, again, I'm just gonna go through sort of the steps. Those of you may recall.
Can you speak up
Yeah, I will,
as best as possible?
I'll try to speak up so that everyone can hear me. This room just absorbs
I know.
sound. It doesn't.
Just holler at us.
Okay, all right, moving on. For those of you who weren't around, I can't remember, it's less than a year ago, I think, Councilor McCall Wallace, you were appointed to fill a vacancy, so the process will look familiar to some folks. Under the city charter in section 32 vacancies, it says, the mayor or a council office becomes vacant immediately upon an incumbent's death or recall. You don't have to do anything in those cases. Or B, upon declaration by the council after the incumbents, there's a list of things, one of which is resignation from office. So the mayor's position under the charter becomes vacant following a declaration by the city council that there has been a resignation, which is in your packet. So that's what this resolution is. It just declares the mayor's position vacant. And then, whatever I know everybody is really here to hear about is how do you fill the vacancy? And that is in the city code. Well, I'm sorry, let me go back real quick. The charter also has a section on filling vacancies, but all it says is a mayor or councilor vacancy will be filled by appointment by a majority of the council members. The mayor doesn't get a vote in filling a vacancy unless there's a tie. So moving to the code, there's a section 33.37 appointment by council. And it's basically in two parts. The first part says in subsection A, in filling the vacancy, the council may make inquiries and hold interviews as you consider necessary. And then the appointment can be made at either a regular or special council meeting. Yes, Councilor Hagedorn.
So I think, I just a point of clarification, her last day was the 15th. And I'm reading here, the mayor will not vote on the vacant county's, this council seat unless there is a need for a tiebreaker. Who would then, if she's not on council currently, who's our tiebreaker?
It's me, because I'm council
No,
president.
no, you're not the
No,
mayor.
tiebreaker.
Oh,
The mayor.
all right.
In fact, council president means you've got to be a counselor. or a
So there will be
council.
an arm wrestling contest.
So there can't be a tie vote for the mayor's position. Yeah, if there's a tie, you're,
Move to the next one.
Pick
you're,
a quarter,
It'll be 12 angry men.
you just.
Yeah.
vote it out.
rock, paper, scissors. I don't know. I mean, you'll just have to keep discussing the issue. And
So
move
time.
through various motions to try to find, an appointment for mayor.
Let's shoot for unanimous. It'll be easier then.
Yeah.
And then once that's appointed, then the mayor that's appointed cannot vote
Oh,
on the
council.
council,
If it's-
the vacant council seat if it's
Whatever.
one of you guys.
Right.
It's gonna be very.
Yes, Counselor McCall Wallace.
Yes, so, with the appointment process, so there is a advertising time, there's an application period, correct? And
Correct.
council members can apply
Correct.
for that position. We are asking for an appointment to the mayor position, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
To
I just wanted-
finish the term.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
it's
sure.
Just
basically
getting
3.5
so-
years.
Thank you.
In terms of the process, that's the second piece. The first piece is that you can make inquiries or hold interviews only if you consider it necessary. But the second piece is the council will use the following procedures for the appointment process: public notice, in a newspaper, local posting positions, a deadline for submitting applications at least 2 weeks after the notice. And then you can do whatever you want. You can just review the applications, you can conduct interviews, you can make inquiries as you consider necessary. But there has to be notice of the position published and at least a 2-week period for people to submit applications.
Will it be done in executive session or will it be done in open?
Open session.
Session.
Open session, the city recorder has to keep a roll of everybody's votes on the nominations. A nomination has to be moved and seconded. So pretty standard Robert's rule stuff, once you get through the applications. So this is probably the 5th time I've had to do this, and the hardest part is figuring out, what are you gonna do with the applications once they come in? The sort of best practice that I've seen is to create like a subcommittee to go through them and conduct interviews. Or you can interview all of the candidates in open session. You can make up your own process. You could review the applications based on the applications and not conduct any interviews. That's your prerogative. But you'll need to decide what process, what process you're gonna follow to review the applications and bring nominations to the council.
Agreed, we need to have a sound process.
Counselor.
Yeah, do you want suggestions or ideas about that process
Can you
now?
remind us how we did it with your?
Sure, applications were posted, or the opening was posted, applications were accepted, and then, we were invited to come to the meeting, though not required to come to the meeting. And then, we were asked to, answer questions or present or talk to the council, essentially say why we wanted to be on the position, why we wanted the position, and then they made a decision.
Okay.
And during that process, applicants who had applied, pulled their applications at the meeting and didn't come forward.
Right.
So, so it was a very short interview process.
But basically, all the applications that I received, they were all invited to attend that one meeting and have a
Yes.
brief question and answer period. And one of them withdrew before that meeting, one of them didn't show up to the meeting. I mean, there was
It's similar to
various
what we-
reasons.
It's similar to what we've done with the budget committee and what we've done with the others. One thing I did want to say is that one of the questions I have, and I think it's important, is that maybe as a council, we look at, what are those questions that we want to ask? So that we're asking every candidate the same questions, because I feel like sometimes some people are, we know that about them and we don't ask it into the out. Additionally, I actually like it in open session. I know it's uncomfortable, but this is a very public facing open session life. So, I think it's important to be able to have those conversations and for the public to hear them as well.
Okay, so do we need to set a date for this as August 4th, which is 2 weeks from now?
That's it.
Or do we make it,
It won't get into the newspaper until next week.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
in
so you have to
in the packet, it says as early as the 18th.
Yeah,
And then swearing in as early as the 2nd. But I actually have one quick question before we get there. We only need one motion to do this. We don't need a second motion to, like, we just need to declare the vacancy. We don't do a second motion
Correct.
to.
Correct. The
Okay.
resolution directs the city
Or resolution,
manager
right.
to
Okay,
post the notice, do
I
whatever
assume,
needs to happen.
I just didn't want to, okay, so, yeah, so I mean, is everybody good with getting this posted?
let's go do this
The
motion. I move to adopt resolution 2318 to determine and declare vacancy on North Plains mayor.
I
Okay.
second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, we need voice, do we need a voice vote on this one?
yes,
Okay,
please.
so Counselor Reddy,
Aye.
Counselor Wallace.
Aye.
Counselor Hagedorn,
Aye.
Counselor Bateman,
Aye.
Counselor Page,
Aye.
and aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, motion passes. So do we need discussion on the date or are we good with the dates that are in there?
Just so you know the timeline, I will get it to the newspaper by this Thursday for next week's publishing.
Okay,
And then, so then it'll be 2 weeks from, I think they publish it on Thursdays, so it'll be 2 weeks from next Thursday that we'll receive applications. And then the next, I believe that means the next meeting is the 18th.
okay.
Do we need to discuss the questions we're gonna ask ahead of time and put it out so people have a chance?
I was gonna look for consensus to have that on the agenda, to develop the questions, the additional questions for the mayor interview on the 4th.
I like that.
I would agree. Counselor, any thoughts? Counselor Page?
Sounds like a plan.
So a standard set of questions that we're agreeing on?
So yeah, if we brought questions and we come up with them and we set them, I mean, I'm not saying not to ask other questions,
No,
but
a
if we
baseline.
have those basic ones that we're
No,
asking.
but
Would it make sense to, if you have questions you would like the council to consider, to send them to Bill and he could, the city manager, and he can compile them and share them with the full council ahead of the meeting, so you have a chance to look at them before the meeting?
I think that's good.
Another meeting.
Maybe have a work session for it.
Yeah, work session.
Yeah.
That's perfect, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the 4th,
Yeah, if that'll work, that'd be great.
Either after or before.
Yeah,
I'm
So
thinking after.
But if we
Sure.
wanted them to go to Bill ahead of time, to consolidate, we would need to have them from us on by July 30th to go to the city recorder.
I think we could have it all discussed at the work session.
Kind of hash it out.
Just bring them there.
Yeah.
any thoughts, anybody? Other than,
Do we need a work session on it, or can you just talk about it in a city manager report and say, here's what you guys sent me, you approve it or not?
But I think we can discuss what we want to ask and inform it right there during the work session.
well, don't you need to make the decision on whether you're gonna invite all the applicants or whether someone's gonna go through and.
All that at work session.
So
So that, those kind of questions you can address in the work
we
session.
still need an agenda item because we cannot make any decision
Right.
in the work
Right.
session.
that was the.
So that would still be a follow-up agenda item, so we could have a work session to finalize.
Well, So I think the
mayor
question,
process.
just to circle back on what Council Redding was saying, I think the question, if I understood her correctly, is. Do we want to pre-submit the questions and then discuss them as an agenda item, or do we want to have the work session and then move them into the, is that what you're getting at?
I mean, if we're pre-submitting them, we don't need to go over them again. Bill's gonna present them and we either tick them off or tick them, keep them.
So, but my guess is that there's gonna be a lot of overlap between questions, maybe different versions of the same question. And you're gonna wanna figure out which version of the question do you really wanna ask. I do think there's value in going over the questions as a group ahead of time.
So it sounds like, I just want to clarify one thing. So it sounds like what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is pre-submit as many questions as you can, and then we'll try to get them down to a manageable number in the work session. It should be a quick 30 minutes maybe, and then we can move to regular.
In any of that work session, we can also take on anything like, how do we want to
How
have
do
a
we conduct it?
subcommittee? Do we want to see them all? Do we want, we could sort of
That's right.
have that process all figured out
Hash it out.
in that work session. And then
Councilor,
define and then announce it in the agenda
I hear that.
as a consensus.
Councilor Ready.
Is there a work session already planned for the?
That was actually
No.
my question.
There's one planned for the second meeting. of
Okay.
the Parks Board.
We just can't get it on.
Working with you all is just so wonderful that we should have more work sessions.
Yeah.
Just kidding, no more work sessions.
Work sessions, will be great work sessions.
That's true. All right, more work sessions. All right, so any other discussion on that? I think we captured the agenda item. Is anybody have any other comments? Did I miss anything? Counselor.
Where, so the applications, remind me, in office, online, and not available until after the 4th Thursday? Or?
No, they'll be available, actually. I can put them online tomorrow, but the posting won't be in the newspaper until next week.
Capiche.
But I will also be posting the standard, we have a vacancy at the 3 normal places that all the agenda packets or the agendas get posted to. So.
Okay, any other comments, discussion, topics on that, or are we good? Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, moving on, we are moving right along, so I'm gonna say, I just need 2 minutes, so.
2 minutes.
3 minutes?
To 5.
5
This is
minutes.
fine.
5 minutes, please come back at 8:05. All right, and we're back in session. So, next, we're going into, city manager report. So, Bill, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Hello there. I've unmuted my laptop camera. Is not functioning, and I did not bring my my web camera with me. I don't have a ton additionally really to report other than just there's been a lot of public comment this evening about the urban growth boundary concept planning grant and its process and the planning commission and all those things. And I don't have anything to add to what I have put in in the email I sent that was, I believe, included in the public record by Lori. So thank you, Lori. But that can be an ongoing conversation. But I think the Planning Commission is going to be looking into a new, smaller urban growth boundary expansion recommendation. But we have a bit of a process to go through for that, and kind of work through in finality what the ReLook Advisory Committee ultimately what can be concluded from everything that they expressed in concluding their process. But anyway, that's kind of a different separate thing. But I would just refer you to that email and happy to answer questions about it. Other than that, I'll be back next week. The following week, Rowan and I will be in Chicago for the National Brownfields Conference. That's only held every other year. And then the timing of our grant and the activities that will be funded by it, that's really kind of the main about only kind of intensive training on all this, including in particularly EPA reporting process. So I'll just kind of leave it there and stand for any questions if you have them.
Councilor Bowles.
Yeah, so, thank you, Bill. I hope you were enjoying your vacation as well. 'Cause I know this is the most favorite thing to do on vacation. So I just wanted to clarify, because there seems to be some confusion in the community, and we heard it here tonight in public comment, and I want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly. The TGM concept planning grant is not the UGB. The UGB boundary is a separate thing. This is planning for what would go into places within the concept area. And that is expanded, the grant was written in 2022. And so, it was looking at that total area. And so this is just sort of looking at planning, but the boundary, when finalized, can be, where the ReLook said, where even less, or wherever that might be. We've had a lot of, so is that correct?
Yeah, Councilman McCall-Wallace, that's correct. I mean, it's a little bit confusing because of the fact that we kind of have two different issues here. But the concept planning grant is its own thing. It's you know, it is related to the urban growth boundary expansion as a city policy and process. But the concept planning grant itself is kind of different from related but different thing. That's correct.
So the other thing is that we've heard in previous public comment, the idea of that we should not be trying to figure out what the urban growth boundary line is. We should be looking at what we want to go where and then find a line. So this concept plan essentially is filling in those areas and looking at those things to say, this is what we're thinking of. Now, I know the question also came up about the data centers and that was in there in the grant. And I think that there was a hold once the UGB expansion did not go through at 855 acres. And there is sort of a revisioning looking at, so this has an opportunity for public to weigh in on what they would like to see in terms of that growth, in terms of this TGM grant, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, you kind of going back, the grant was applied for to the TGM, the ODOT TGM program in 2022. And at that time, you know, different leadership on city council and kind of different issues going on economically at the time. In terms of kind of the lay of the land and what the state was leading in terms of efforts. But however, and I believe the TGM grant contract between ODOT and the consultants led by 3J, I believe that was added to the council packet too. And to be clear, the grant process, the planning process, the community outreach process, there are no requirements or directives that data centers or certain size semiconductors or certain sized you know, CHIPS Act stuff. That was all motivation for applying for the grant, but there aren't any requirements in the contract and what we would be doing in the process of it. And to kind of get to the original part of your question, yeah, I mean what's true is that ordinarily for a city like ours outside of the Portland metro region, you do a bunch of study and have an advisory committee, and you decide based on everything that's concluded, you put a line on a map as to where a new urban growth boundary should be put to accommodate land that's been found to be needed. And I've been gone since, you know, some of the questions kind of came out about this, and so I haven't pursued this with ODOT. But what I would like to ask them is, can the concept planning process kind of work a little bit more like over in the Portland Metro UGB, and that is that you kind of plan towards where, and then a line kind of results from that, rather than defining a line and then painting up to it. And again, I'm kind of simplifying and maybe and could be oversimplifying and misstating, but there could be a bit I think it would be worthwhile, if it's possible, to have a bit of determinism, of the planning process, kind of let the planning process and the outreach help help with the line thinking process a bit, if that's possible. But again, you know, we're a city with our own urban growth boundary, and how things work for cities like us is a little bit different from the Portland Metro UGB. And I know ODOT has their own rules with TGM. But that's a worthwhile conversation to see if we can do it that way.
Councilor Hagedorn?
Two-part bill. Sorry, I know you're on island time, so you probably don't want the hard-hitting questions, so I'll try and be nice. So it sounds like this application predated many of us on council today, 2022, and I can't even remember what I had for dinner last night. So I was just curious, what was that approval process to activate that work? Was it documented in a resolution? And then it sounds like maybe, and I could be wrong, from reading all of the documents, there was some initial assumptions or a scope of work, and maybe we were repurposing the grant. Was that repurposing of the contract amended to reflect this new ideation kind of element, or am I understanding this wildly inaccurately?
No, no, it's okay. There's some fog, and so it's no. Those are great questions. I wouldn't. Quite all right. They're good questions. So yeah, we applied in 2022, late 22, early 2023. Again, I was looking at the documents when I put together the email that's in the packet. So go by that time frame. Don't go by what I'm remembering at the moment. But we applied in 2022 for the TGM grant for, and in the application we put down kind of what the motivation was and what was going on at the state and the, and what the city was thinking. And then in either late 2022 or early 2023, ODOT TGM, the TGM program let us know, hey, we would like to see a detailed work plan out of, from the city on what it would like to do. And we invite that, which is kind of their way of saying you've been selected for some, funding to do a planning process. So we did that, and that took, I want to say, between working with ODOT and them having consultants and figuring out which consultants were the most qualified, and working on the scope of work with ODOT and with the consultants and with DLCD. That took better part of a year, and I think we kind of got that nailed down in late 2024 when it was all finalized. There was public comment this evening about the fact that about the former mayor being involved. It's customary on an ODOT TGM contract for the mayor rather than the city manager to in that contract of binding contract between the city and the state. The former mayor was the signatory on that, and that was, I want to say, late summer fall of 2024. And yeah, and so that was kind of the sequence of events. But basically, with the vote that with the voters in May saying they didn't want the big expansion and some kind of smarter growth, ODOT recognized that the city still had adopted findings of needing different types of land for housing and for employment. And so the process moved forward where ODOT said, let's move the order of work around, and there's technical work that needs to be done studying the land around the city. It's kind of the existing conditions technical analysis. And ODOT said that's just technical background work. There's no public outreach, public comment. There's nothing in there that really involves, requires, or drives any sort of work with the public, because the public is still trying to figure out what it wants to do. So we basically, ODOT with the city, we just rearranged the sequence of certain tasks to first do technical analysis in the background about the land outside the city, to kind of inform when it was decided where a new line might be drawn, if drawn. Then all of the land had been looked at for technical analysis purposes. And I think that from this arises a misunderstanding, and I get into it in my email to you all in the packet, and that is that there was a question, I believe, at the Planning Commission last week where, or the week before rather, sorry, where it was asked, what's the study area for the existing conditions analysis is the entire former urban growth boundary expansion proposal of 855 acres. And I think that it sounds like there's been some misunderstanding that's resulted from that. So when staff and or the consultant said the study area is the entire former urban growth boundary area expansion proposal area, what they meant was, strictly speaking, for existing conditions to study the lay of the land to prepare for future planning concept planning wherever within that area might be of interest to the city and the public. The grant, the study, the whole process is not about simply redoing the original larger UGB expansion. That was voted down. The state gets that, the city gets that, the consultants understand that. But what was expressed at the Planning Commission when asked about the study area, the entire old urban growth boundary expansion got studied for existing conditions so that whatever smaller area is designated to be the new urban growth boundary expansion, if and when that happens, then by studying the broader area, anything that is drawn smaller within it has been studied. And that is all that was intended to be communicated. Maybe there was a missing asterisk or a missing additional, phrase or clause there about that additional detail. But the only thing that is the entire former UGB expansion area is simply just where existing conditions were studied so that the process could move forward with a smaller area to formally be concept planned. And the existing conditions would have already been looked at.
So, Bill, a lot of words here. I'm gonna try to make it simpler for everybody in the universe to understand. This grant, where are we at now with it? Is it dead?
No, it's not dead. It's sort of just in hiatus or in a holding pattern, because we're kind of at this point where there's interest by the Planning Commission to look at a new expansion proposal. But that process hasn't formally been started. And so there's some hesitation to move forward with the grant process to kind of better understand how it needs to work moving forward with whatever the Planning Commission is going to be doing in parallel but different.
I have two more questions. This is number 2. So it is not dead. Now, the grant that we have, it is able to be studied for whatever the planning commission or the relook committee has. It can be morphed into that, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, the way the grant is scoped, the way the grant will work is to basically carry forward a community advisory committee process, a technical advisory committee process that's more specialized in kind of specific land use and infrastructure things. And there's community meetings and that sort of thing. And all of that is going to be done, kind of to match whatever the land area is that ultimately needs to be looked at and planned. So yeah, I mean, they're related processes, but one doesn't want to get ahead of the other effectively.
Third and last clarifying question. If it is determined we don't want to do anything more with this and kill it, what is the liability, or how do we break the contract? What is our
No, that's a great question. There really isn't any liability to the city.
obligation?
Yeah, well, so the way the grant works the way the TGM grant works is that the state hires and compensates whatever technical consultants are on board doing the work. It's a contract. What you have in your packet, I believe, is the actual contract between ODOT and the consultants. And the consultants do different work in the scope, and on a monthly basis, they bill the state of Oregon, ODOT, and ODOT, pays them on whatever schedule. No money passes through the city. The cost to the city by contract in the agreement that former Mayor Linehan signed, and was part of was mentioned in public comment earlier, the city's obligation in terms of cost is staff time. We have to obligate that we will work on the process as staff for a certain amount of hours and effort to, as part, kind of on our end. I mean, we would have to anyway. I mean, but in the contract, it's just acknowledged that, staff time is needed, and the city's cost, the city's skin in on this is effectively the staff time to be involved in this on the city side of things. So there's no contract between consultants and the city. It's all between the state and the consultants, and I believe in your packet is that very contract.
So I want to summarize this. The contract is still viable. And if we want to change how we are going to go about it, fees can still be paid by the state. And 3, there is no cost involved besides man hours.
I would say those, yeah, thank you. That's accurate.
Thank you.
Councilor McCall.
Sure. One of the things I wanted to say that I know that it seems, let's say this, that that we're concerned about something going forward that we're not ready to have, or that we question, or it's pushing some other agenda forward. And I don't know where that distrust comes from, frankly, because this council here has been very open about what we are doing in those areas, and so have our boards and commissions. However, what I really see as an opportunity here is that this grant, which needs, we've already done half the grant or more, and this is finishing out the grant, which needs to get finished out in a year, and that this is an opportunity to do exactly what the community has asked for. The relook committee was an opportunity to say, what do you want to see? And then there's some questions about, was that enough? Do we need to have more public input? Is there another way? This is the concept planning. People have said, wait, you're doing it the wrong way. You need to figure out what we want first. That's what the concept planning does. Yes, it also talks about roads. It does some other ODOT specific things. However, it is about planning for growth. And so I think we have an advantage that we already have a grant funded to do this work and to be able to ask the community, what do we want to do and how do we want to go forward, and utilize those community meetings in that process to do that.
So any other counselors, comments, thoughts? So I will say I did have a conversation with Commissioner Chair King. Because I was a planning commission, I did have a conversation with him about it. The bottom line is there's nothing before the council. There is no UGB before the council. This is a planning commission thing, and I told the Chair King, we have nothing to vote on unless one of the councilors wants to put something on the agenda. So until the planning commission brings us something to vote on, we don't have anything to vote on unless we add it to our agenda. So I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying that that's just the straight facts. If there's somebody, if there's something that we need to put on the agenda, let's do that. Otherwise, the planning commission needs to go through their process, whatever that process looks like, whatever that is. But we don't have anything to vote on right now. So I appreciate all of the input and I appreciate the extremely detailed report, but at the end of it, we still have nothing to vote on. So I think it's a time to take a deep breath and just kind of see. And if we want to get more involved, planning commission is a great place to do that and to go, for all of us to be involved in planning. Council?
Can I add that, I want to thank you for the extremely thorough report as well, and the contract, and really clarifying information. We saw a flyer go out into the community with a lot of misinformation and, with the wrong dates or various accusations and things like that. And so, I really appreciate that Bill thoroughly put that together for us in terms of the information to share that with the council and with the community.
All right. Anything else on this topic?
I don't know, the whole community outreach thing, I'm a little bit upset about. Somebody can just say anything they want. Oh, backroom deals, corruption, like what? What is this? What are you even talking about? Everything's right here. I mean, everything's right here. We have nothing to vote on. Everything's just right. It's kind of hard to be in this seat when people have free range. This is how you corrupt. I don't know. I don't like it.
All right. Any other comments? All right, we're gonna move to council reports, and just because I like to make things difficult, Councilor Hagedorn.
Yeah, so I attended Parks and Rec meeting. I think it was on the 14th. They discussed mostly preparing the quarterly report that we learned about today, fundraising efforts in partnership with the Parks Foundation for Jesse Mays. And there was a deep learning session on URA rules that influence the funding allocation. And there's some interest in the potential of using URA dollars for Jesse Mays. And then, of course, over the weekend, I had the opportunity to visit Pregold Creek, one of several agri-hoods. highly recommend you, get, a lot of people are busy doing research and looking at YouTube. I encourage actually putting your feet on the street and taking a tour. It's 32 acres. They set aside 12 dedicated acres. They have a wide range of housing from apartments and houses from 500 to 3,000 square feet. They have a restaurant, a store, but what's really neat is they have gardens and orchards dedicated to the residents in the community, so people can just walk in, if they are short a cucumber, snag one and go and finish preparing whatever they're doing, which I thought was pretty cool. I also, one thing that I was really kind of impressed upon with is just the fact that they told me it was 32 acres, and it did not see it. I mean, when you walk around, you kind of appreciate size and perspective and what an acre is in reality. But I'm personally interested in learning more about agri-hoods at our upcoming work session, and in particular, learning about the economics and maybe current thinking from the community on how this concept could apply to our city.
Thank you. Councilor McCall.
Sure, I think I've already asked me 4 things. So, I attended the library meeting, and, as I let the library board know and Robin know at the time, they always do such a great job, Robin does, giving her reports, that when we're the ex officios, we're also like, oh, she beat me to say everything I was gonna say, but I told her I was looking for other stories that happened there, and, one of the board members, Nandu Yana, said, talked about the giveaway books, and that her child had received one of the giveaway books that are helping with literacy. And she said they've read it about 100 times. So as a parent, if anybody's been a parent who's had to read books, or if you've had a favorite young person that you've read to, you'll know that you often read them over and over again. So 100 times. And he's already learned a new word, blueberries. So I wanted to share that little anecdote because I think it really kind of drives home the purpose of that program and what they're doing. And another piece of information that was shared, in addition to what you received in your packet, is that the Friends of the Library is moving forward in terms of opening the annex and getting the permits in place and things like that. And they're starting to do some, they'll be starting to move some things out of there to start getting the place moving in that direction. So that is one. The other is in reference to public speaking or public comment tonight. I wanted to, we're often receiving notes or public comment about rescinding ordinance 490. And that was something that the council took up with our city attorney at the time. And Chad Jacobs was filling in as city attorney. And he let us all know that since the voters rejected ordinance 490, it never became a law, which is why it's sometimes described as a zombie or dead ordinance. Because it never took effect nor became a law. Technically, there's no need to repeal it because there's actually no law to repeal. I think the concern is that people see it and they want it to just not be there. Now, there is something if council by consensus wanted to direct city staff to put in information about the referendum that went, the vote that could be attached as documentation in there, that could be added to it. But the information as public information doesn't go away. We don't remove it. So I wanted to share that because that was come up a couple of times. And then third, I do want to call out that as a city councilor tonight, during public comment, I did feel like we were receiving threatening marks from Mayor Goodwin at the time, who was the mayor at the time. And that's, I don't think that's appropriate for any public comment coming forward. And I hope that the council president or whoever's in the mayor's role in the future will actually stop that in the process.
Councilor Payton.
No, I have no council reports. I was not an ex officio, but I am looking forward to joining the Mustang meet later on. And then also thank you to Councilor Hagedorn and Councilor McCall Wallace for organizing National Night Out as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilor Reddy.
I was not ex officio to anything, but I did want to bring up the sound system again. I was listening to the economic, yeah, you were ex officio for that. And it was extremely hard to hear I know we've asked for focus groups, I know there's a MAC. Something going on. We're not receiving any information, not able to make any decisions on how to make this better for our community. And I mean, I was just so frustrated during it, so I can only imagine how our citizens who might be homebound are feeling. So I don't know if that's something the council can,
I agree with, Katie here. Can we put something out there to the world, like, hey, is
Think how I
anybody?
feel, I can't make heads or
Is
tails out of the
anybody-
minutes.
Is anybody that has an audio visual job that can fix this, or can we just hire
So
nerd geek or
didn't we
geek
do-
squad?
didn't we, set aside some money for this? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, kinda like $10,000.
2,000, I thought that.
Yeah,
Good
so
job.
what, if I could suggest,
Bill update.
yeah, I was gonna say, do we have consensus? Let's get an update, staff update from Bill on the next meeting on
Yeah.
where we're at.
Don't we have like a audio machine with a microphone? Yeah, we do.
There's a
Yeah,
problem tracking it through.
It's just extremely, I mean,
It would amplify our voice.
Well, so I think my suggestion, or take it or leave it, but what I would ask for consensus on is, could we get a staff report from Bill on
where we're at.
where are we, and what is an expected timeline? Does that solve the problem for people?
Please.
Yeah.
Counselor, ready?
I mean, I almost want some suggestions in that report, because
Yeah,
we've been
no,
asking. since January.
we need to get it done, yes,
Yeah,
so,
I mean-
okay, so Bill, if we could add that to, the next, staff report for city manager.
And I have a small amp and microphone that I can bring.
We have one.
No, we can't run it through the system. That's the problem. It has to operate separately.
Interpretive dance.
So I
Just throwing
hear
it out
you,
there.
I hear you, I just wanna make sure that we are,
yeah, sorry,
directing, not directing city staff, not trying to take over, that's
Yeah,
concern.
of course.
So does that meet what you're asking for, Council?
Yeah,
No, I concur, and yes.
and then not to step on your ex officio report, but I did hear that Lori has come up with lanyards for the peddler permit. And I am extremely thankful for that,
Yes.
grateful for that, because I know it's a problem in
It
our
is a
town.
huge problem, and I might add, I know right now, there are people going around door to door that have not come to our office and applied for a peddler's permit. Actually, I was with the chief last week in the police car, and we stopped one.
Chase them down.
We stopped when he was on a Segway. And we stopped him twice within 10 minutes, and he said,
That's how
oh,
we take
yeah,
action.
I have a permit, and I looked at him, I said, no, you don't. Oh, I'll get one, and of course, I haven't seen him since, but we don't know what we don't know at City Hall. I have to have residents call me, and as soon as, or email me is better, and then I can send whoever's on duty out there immediately to address it and get them to come.
Those photos and send them to Lori when they knock on the door.
Yep.
And a tomato maybe.
Council.
I don't, am I allowed to make a suggestion that we put something like this in the newsletter so people?
Yep, it's already scheduled.
Perfect.
Lori's way ahead of us, it's all.
Yeah.
And then I just had some other, just
Yeah,
that came
please.
through tonight for newsletter ideas, the right of way responsibilities that Parks and Rec are kind of facing. If something could be written up about,
Can I clarify, when you say right of way, are you referring to the green, what's the
the spaces between the sidewalk and
That's
the
what I'm trying to
street.
say, yes, that thing,
I
yes,
don't know what
okay, yeah.
that's called, that's my assumption.
I had the same question, because my neighbor came and asked me, and I was like, I don't,
If something could be
Go on.
written up about that, I think that would clear up a lot of confusion that I've seen on social media as well.
I believe that Teresa already had an article written for this next newsletter.
Excellent.
Something like that.
this is
Fantastic.
awesome.
Yes, because that is becoming a.
What do you guys think? We sit around and
Chase
watch
people down on
TV?
segways, yeah.
I did that.
Council.
Another idea I had was to introduce our commissions and boards, the purposes, who to contact if you want to talk to someone on that board.
Oh, on the newsletter?
Yeah, like meet your board, get involved, meet your people, meet who's leading and making.
Counselors'
suggestions.
thoughts?
Just. And then also a list of our businesses and how to support local, like just a running list somewhere.
It's like 100 businesses. I mean.
Well-
Yeah, we only
The
have 5
chamber.
pages.
Like, yeah,
Chamber.
even a feature.
Business
Some, but
listing,
some-
you got one.
What?
I'm sorry, I
So, she was asking about a list of businesses to go into the newsletter, and I said, we have you know,
Maybe-
100, and that would be too many.
I was gonna, but maybe that's something that
We
we
feature
could
10 a
partner,
month.
we could
or-
partner with the chamber on or something.
Yeah,
But I think that's something we can find a way to.
well, then I think that we should be looking at a agenda item in terms of,
Newsletter.
newsletter ideas rather
Yeah,
than.
this is kind of getting too big for maybe. So, does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
great ideas. There's also, in the North Plains app, there's also a hyperlink for local businesses.
Yep.
So maybe that could be another avenue.
Did you even know we have an app?
Yes, I did.
Does everybody have their app?
So,
do.
so letting people know that in the newsletter, then, you know, we know we can get.
Well,
them.
but so to your point though, Counselor, do we have consensus? Maybe we should add this to a future agenda/work session to so we don't overwhelm the council reports.
I think it can be an agenda. I don't think we need to have.
Yeah.
Hour-long
That
session.
work for everybody?
Well, yes,
Done, make it so.
newsletter discussion.
Got it.
Perfect, thank you, Council. That's great.
So I've been very dry on all the assignments.
Try.
I'll fix that.
Yeah, I had nothing going on for a little while, so I'm kind of blessed with that for council reports. I'll see everybody over at that National Night Out. I'll be there eating hot dogs. So.
Until things,
we'll see
hanging
what's-
stars, right?
Learning so much about how to
Yes.
get you to do stuff.
Yeah. Bribery, food.
Ice cream and hot dogs.
But yeah, that's what I have.
Right, so I attended planning commission, as you may have heard, lots of conversation around. What Bill ultimately sent out, because I think there was some confusion and it was helpful to get the report. Couple things on the Luba appeal that we talked about. And the big thing was, which I appreciate, council, Chair King. We did have some the commission had some back and forth on code. And Chair King asked the planning commission members to send him requests, because I said, like, what do we do? Because I'm not on planning commission. And his response was, well, everybody should send me their inputs, and then we'll make suggestions to Rowan, which I thought personally, I thought was a great idea, because then we can start doing something. I think there was a little bit of analysis paralysis, if you will, where nobody really had a starting point. I think Chair King did a great job personally of saying, make it happen. Like, don't look at me. So that's good. I'm very optimistic that we'll start seeing some recommendations coming in, so Rowan can kind of think about where we want to go as with code development codes. Yes,
So is that an invitation to council, to citizens?
that was planning commission, but if citizens or council want to comment, your council is also citizens, you should show up at planning commission and share your opinion. I'm sure Chair King would love more public comment. No, but in all seriousness, you should be involved. This is our city. Everybody should be showing up if they have a passion about this and talking and sharing. And if you have ideas on development code, by all means, I would encourage everyone to attend planning commission and share it. But don't overwhelm them. Let's see. So that was planning commission. I did have a conversation. I need to find the right name. Sorry. We have a new, so as most of you know, Jerry Wiley is retiring. Willie, I'm sorry. Jerry Willie is retiring from the Washington County Commissioner. And I just have to find the name, so I don't necessarily this. I've met her 100 times, I can never remember her name. But just a second. Isla Poplar, Ayla, sorry, thank you. Would like to come and address the council at a future meeting, so she's sorry, I guess I should back that up. She is a candidate for county commissioner, so she would like to come and address the council. Is everybody good with that? Can we get consensus? Cool. So we'll add her to a future agenda. I'll work with her and Lori and Barry when to add her. And let's see. We have the Mustang or the Ford car show on Saturday, so I'd encourage everyone to attend, please, if you can. I'll be there. I don't drive Fords, and I'll probably make fun of Fords, but
Hey,
bear with me.
Kristen,
I might get punched
we'll
too.
be there with our cords.
All right, I'll show up in a Dodge how about that? Or Harley. No, it's a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of good conversations with Iggy, so he convinced me that I would enjoy myself. even though I don't know anything about cars, so don't take any car advice. And otherwise, National Night Out, I think that's everything that we have going on this month. So that is my council report. And if there's nothing else,
I have one more thing.
oh,
The
please.
first car I bought with my own cash was a 1966 Ford Mustang.
Don't you wish you still had it?
I crashed it. I fell asleep driving.
We'll see. That's why Fords are bad. They can get us sleep. Okay. So if there's no more Ford jokes,
Car's too loud to sleep.
there you go. Exactly. All right, so, oh, and I'm sorry, I actually have one more thing. I did speak with Kathy Harrington, who's, I think she's the chair of the Washington County Commissioners. She also runs the Mayor's Association, or whatever, the mayor's meeting thing. Consortium, thank you. I get so many acronyms. So I will be attending that temporarily until a new mayor is appointed. I did speak with her. I'm actually gonna have a phone call with her. Cause I just told her, I'm not really sure what you want me to do, so I'll call you when you can fill me in, so that way we are well represented, and I'm gonna take a ton of notes for the next mayor. So if there's anything we need to express to the mayor's consortium or the county commission, let me know, and I will do my best, but probably write it down so I don't make a mistake. And we all know our assignments. We will need to, because of the mayor, we will need to put in some alternates or some different people. So we have, looks like, did you highlight these in yellow so I would know? Let's see. So we need somebody to cover EDC on the 6th.
I can do that one. Mine got canceled because we're gonna do the joint meeting, so on the 11th, so I could take that one on Thursday.
That worked out. And then you're doing impact, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Counselor Page is doing impact. On the 20th, wait.
Third.
Oh, this is August I'm looking at, sorry. We're out to August now.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, you'll be fine on this one too. All right, and then, let's see. So it looks like we're pretty good for the rest of them. Okay, yeah, we're in good shape on the rest of the meetings. And then. Yeah, so I think we're good with that. So I think the next thing, is there anything else on meetings? Yeah, so now executive. Do I need to read this script?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
But everybody.
Can we take a little?
Everybody else got.
Oh,
Adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn the regular meeting.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are now adjourned for the regular meeting at 8:48.